I've had lots of really good responses on my videos on sharpening a full height convex grind knife and the varied convex grind that I do. And I've had lots of questions about how to sharpen a convex ground bevel that has a secondary convex grind bevel on it. And so I'm going to cover that in this video. And I've also had lots of questions on how to sharpen a flat ground knife that has a flat ground secondary bevel using the same method. So that's what I'll go over those two things in this video. Okay, I guess I better define what I'm talking about here. Not everybody knows knife lingo. This here would be my poor representation of a full height convex bevel. It's bullet shaped, somewhat. It's one continuous arc from the spine of the knife, which is up here, to the edge of the knife, which is down here. One continuous arc going down to what they call a 0-degree edge. That means that there is no break in the plane of this arc from the spine to the edge. This one would be a full height convex grind with a convex secondary bevel. And it's really hard to see from my crappy drawings, but there's an arc here which changes its arc and makes a more severe bend right there as it goes towards the edge. That part right there is the secondary bevel. It's not part of this main body. This right here is my representation of a flat ground knife, a full height flat grind with a flat ground secondary bevel. It's one continuous angle to here, and then the angle changes and gets steeper as it comes towards the edge on both sides. And that's for toughness reasons. If you ground this full height flat grind straight to a 0 edge like you would this convex, it would break and chip out on the softest material you could use it on. So you have to have this on this type of a bevel. As I've said before, on all the customers' knives that I do, I hand sharpen them, and I sharpen a very small, what you'd call a micro secondary bevel on it. The reason being is I don't want to screw up the blade finish by sharpening the full height of the grind, which is I guess you'd say the proper way to do it. But I do that so I don't mess up all the work that I put into the knife. And I put this micro secondary bevel on there, which can be sharpened out pretty easily by sharpening the full height, but I leave that up to the customer. And this is a little bit more, it's not more difficult, it just takes a little bit more practice to do this. The advantage, I think, one of the advantages I think to a convex grind is that it is easy to sharpen. There's no angles to follow. You just lay it down and move with the bevel. It's you know, it's a no-brainer. It's easy. This is a little bit trickier. You just have to play with it a little bit, and I don't know if I'll be able to explain it well enough for you to understand, but I'm going to give it a try. Instead of laying the knife flat, like I showed in the previous videos, or off to the side following the plunge line for the varied convex grind, this one you actually start up on the secondary bevel. And again, there's no angle to follow, so it's not critical that you hit a certain spot every time. The main thing you want to be aware of is, again, light to no pressure, just the weight of the knife, and you want to be aware of the edge grabbing on the sandpaper. As you pull it back, you want to be able to make a slight adjustment if you're too low, a slight adjustment up from the back of the spine up to make the edge grab. And you'll be able to feel it just like you feel it whenever you do your regular bevel sharpening. And you just pull it back in the same manner that you did before. And again, light pressure to no pressure. And this is a 400 grit I'm starting with. I come off the machine at 400, so that's what I start with on the mouse pad. And I'll leave the dust on there, and it's probably pretty much impossible to see, but I've sharpened a slight secondary all along this edge. And here's the other side. You can see how high the spine comes off the sandpaper. Again, the dust is still on, and you can maybe faintly make out the dust line where the secondary starts. Just so you know that this actually works, and I'm not pulling any wool over anybody's eyes. I just hit it with the 400, so it's still not scary sharp. So I'll show you how poorly it cuts the thin paper. See, it wants to drag and tear. Now I'm just progressing up to the grits. 400, 600, this is 800. I just got done with 1,000 grit, and now I'll move to stropping on leather. In the previous videos I showed laying the leather down and stropping just like you do on the sandpaper. I'll show you how I normally do it. It's just a slack stropping, and some people like it, some people don't, but I prefer it, and I'll show you how I do it. Same thing. Make sure you hit your edge and not lay the knife down like we did in previous videos. Also, the same thing applies here. Little to no pressure. If you put this knife on and you're bending this belt like that, you're putting too much pressure on it. You're probably going to dull the edge. It should be a light, smooth strop. Some guys will tell you 15 strops on one side, 15 on the other, 8 strops on one side, 8 strops on the other. It doesn't matter. Just get it when it's sharp, it's sharp. It's the same paper, same knife, just progressed through the stages. That literally took me about 10 minutes to do. And it wouldn't have taken that long had I not been sharpening this edge on for the first time. Now that'll work for your falk nivens and all your other convex ground knives that come with a secondary edge. Falk nivens come with a pretty steep secondary edge, so you'll just have to adjust it to the knife. This one, like I say, is very minute, very small. So if you get one of my knives and you don't want the secondary bevel on it, you can see that it's, I mean, you can't even hardly detect the secondary on it, so it won't be hard to sharpen out. You just have to back down to a little bit heavier grit and sharpen the full bevel height.